If Adrian comes in late, or Amanda, or whomever else might come in late.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Gary.
Okay, I just got a message from Adrian.
Are we doing just the red book tonight, or do we start with the prayers and the
We're doing this book here, the Parnashavari practice.
Okay.
We're just going to do this.
Okay.
So we're not going to need any other book. Well, you could have the Deity Yoga book nearby, but we're going to concentrate on this tonight. Tom, how are you?
Great.
Good.
And you? I like your shirt.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. So this practice, I mean, literally, we need to do this practice like our life depends on it. What's happening in Europe and is happening in Australia and Canada and all around the world, and that the second wave, if that's what it is, really hasn't hit the United States yet. We're still going through the first wave, I think. But nevertheless, it's going to, we all know it's going to get worse. We're seeing what's happening in Washington now, and it's certainly not good. And you can question, the validity of Michael, could you coach Adrian to get in? He hasn't looked at his email and he wants to get in. There he is. Okay, he got in. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Curtis. Does everybody have water? You need to have water with you tonight. A cup of water, a little pitcher of water or something. It's part of the practice tonight. So I was just beginning an introduction by saying that we have to do this practice like our life depends on it. This deity is very significant, and whether or not you believe in these kinds of things, that through doing these practices, we can change the dynamics in our lives, for these deities who are really inside of ourselves. I mean, these deities are within ourselves. And what we're doing is we're trying to change ourselves, in this case, Parnashavari, to become very circumspect about what is going on around and being able to purify all the confusion and the disease and so on like that, and take the steps to do it. So we're going to see how this works. But all the deities work in the same way. They're working through us. We're the ones who become the deity. And it's through our behavior, after recognizing their activity by doing these practices, that we make the changes to make their purification, to make their teaching real in our lives and so on. And then we affect other people around us and so on. So there's kind of a, we could say that there's kind of a quantum result. In quantum physics, they talk about that the observer has an influence on the outcome. So in this way, we're the observer who is looking at the world and looking at our situations, and we're going to influence it through our loving kindness, through our compassion, through our bodhicitta. And that's what we're developing. And it's purely spiritual, so if you don't understand that or don't agree with that, I don't know exactly what to say, but, practice this with us and see if your mind doesn't change somewhere.
Lance, is this something then that should be done every day during this time?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Because we really need, I don't know about you, but by the end of the day, I kind of get depressed. And I'm not one for that kind of thing, but with the news being on and everything. But by doing this practice, the first part of the day, I wake up refreshed and I wake up pretty good. And then it strengthens me. It kind of girds me, for the rest of the day and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we get to do practices during the day, it just supports that over and over again, the other practices that we join in. So yes, if you do this every day, it's really good.
Thank you.
So let me give a little bit of a history that I've learned about Parnashavari. Parnashavari was a Hindu goddess. And actually, it was, a lot of what was happening in Tibet, all in that area, centuries ago, more than centuries, millennia ago, was very shamanistic. So they had all kinds of rites that they would do, all kinds of ceremonies that they would do, and so on, to appeal to the gods, to make changes, and so on like that. So the Hinduism became a little bit of a reformation of that, and the Buddhism became a much bigger reformation of that, because they were sacrificing animals, and doing things like that, and the Buddhism, wouldn't allow any of that kind of stuff. So Shravari was a goddess who was in the eastern part of India, who was a forest. She was a forest goddess. And that the people would pray to her, would beseech her and bring gifts to her and so on, that she would bring healing and protection against diseases and so on. So her name, Parnashavari, means forest mother. And the Pasachi, you'll see here, we'll go over this again, but the Pasachi refers to being in a charnel ground. A charnel ground is where they would do cremations, or they would do sky burials. In Tibet in particular, they couldn't do cremations because they didn't have any trees, and they couldn't put people in the ground in graves when they died, because the ground was too hard, because it was frozen. So they would do sky burials, and what they would do would be to take the body and they would wrap it up and everything, and they would literally chop the body up in this, these white, clothing that they would have for it. And they would feed it to the buzzards, to the vultures, and to the jackals and the hyenas and the animals that would come around. And they still do it in some places. That was, and to be able to do that is a very noble thing. To have that, if your body is being dealt with in that way, because it has an immediate offering to the rest of nature and so on. So it was considered very natural and very good to be able to do that. So this was part of the culture, to do what might seem to be, some kind of barbaric ideas to us. But when you look at it in terms of their natural, being able to feed those who, are left behind, and be able to, and not waste our body, is something that was on their minds. The people are on their minds. So this Aboriginal Shravara, who was in the eastern Tibet, eastern India, the goddess of all the Shravaris, and so there were many of these, and they were invoked to fight disease and combat disease and so on. Her expression, Parnashavari, is on the front cover of the book that you all have, and she has three faces, and we're going to go into that. And her facial expression is a little bit grimacing. It says it's smiling, but a little bit grimacing, and more like a irritation. And she's stamping on the figures, the beings that she would be stamping on. Here in this picture, it doesn't show it, but in some illustrations, it would show that she's stamping on beings who have disease and smallpox and things like that. So, so she is in Buddhism, then, as Buddhism came along, they, kind of assimilated many of these deities that were in the Hindu tradition, and older than that, they were in the shamanic tradition, and they kind of brought them in and used them to be able to teach the masses, the people, about how to overcome diseases and purify and so on like that. So that was not unusual at all to do that. And it's regarded that Parnashavari, this mother of the forest mother, is the embodiment of all the 21 Taras. And we talked about the Taras before as the mother of all the Buddhas, the wisdom mother of all the Buddhas. So each of her 3 faces have 3 eyes. So there's the 2 eyes that we normally see with, but there's always the wisdom eye is the mind's eyes, the eye at the forehead. So she sees, with this wisdom eye, she sees the illusory nature of all these diseases and eliminates them, sees everything as being illusory, these diseases being illusory with this wisdom eye. So by being able to transcend and by being able to carry out the activities that we're going to go into, that is going to be mentioned here in the text, that she is able to, and what we're doing is we're bringing Parnashavari into us. We're allowing it to come up. We're recognizing Parnashavari within us. So she is called the leaf, like a leaf on a tree, the leaf-clad one. The leaf-clad one, and she's wearing, if you look at the picture, she's wearing a skirt that is made of leaves. So this represents her coming out of the forest like that and using the forest. So the forest becomes a source, becomes a resource for medicines, purifications, and things like that. Okay, so this is some background information. So many of the ascetics, and if you remember the story of the Buddha, that when he was Prince Siddhartha Gautama and he went into the forest and he took up with the ascetics and so on, well, sometimes they would wear, these skirts made of leaves, and they, there was a shamanistic thing about that, and not every one of these groups would do that, but many times they did. So it wasn't unusual to do this. So does anybody have any questions or comments about any of this introduction? Okay.
Lance?
Yes.
So what is Parnashavari's position on the monopoly, on the hierarchy of
Well, she's considered to be, she's referred to as a goddess, but in other parts of the text, she's referred to as the mother of all the Buddhas because she's seen as a Tara. So in that way, she's regarded as the mother of all the Buddhas. But in her activity, it's more like the goddess of the forest.
So this is a sort of a new role for us to be exposed to. I mean, it's not a bodhisattva, yidam? Is this a yidam?
I don't know. It's a fair question. I don't have a clear answer for that.
All right.
You know, I think, you know, that for this time being, I've been doing this practice every day. So in that regard, I've been looking at Parnashavari as a yidam. Yeah. So, you know, so whether, you know, what the scholars might think of that, what you know, the lamas might think of that, I couldn't say without talking to them about it. I never asked them that. But I think it meets the definition of a yidam.
Thank you.
You know, so we're invoking this wisdom and the skillful means and the joy and the equanimity of Parnashavari to help us to get through, to overcome this epidemic, this pandemic that we're involved in. So you'll see how this is explicitly mentioned in the text. So for those of you who have been doing this and learned this from, you know, one of the Kempos or one of the Drupans or being online or something like that, we're going to go through it. And I do it from the beginning to the end. And there's many different ways to do melodies and so on. So I've got some melodies that I've been using and I want to share them with you because I think they make the practice more enjoyable to do and to be able to remember and, you know, how the words go together, how the mantras go together, the prayers go together and so on. So you'll see what I mean as we go along with this. So to answer your question, your first question then, Michael, was, yes, this is a new level of a deity, you know, like a goddess class of deity, you know, that some would regard as a goddess, some would regard as a Tara. Okay. So if we look at the picture, we can see that she's sitting in a massive fire. We can see that she's on a white lotus. We can see that she's got 4 arms. We can see that the white lotus is, you see the water that is below her. So she's being, you know, characterized as a transcendent being. And in the lower left-hand corner, our lower left-hand corner is the Dharma Protector Mahakala. And in the lower, somebody talking?
6 arms.
Okay. What was that?
6
The
arms.
picture looks like she has 6 arms.
Oh, forgive me. You're right. Sorry. You're right. 6. Yep. So Mahakala is in the lower left, our lower left. In the lower right is Achichoki Droma, who we've been doing. And then in the upper left and the upper right are Asanga and Maitreya, who were 2 of the great Mahayana teachers who lived in India, you know, back around the time of 200 AD or so, on like that. And then in the center is Buddha Shakyamuni. And to the left of Buddha Shakyamuni, our left, is Shenreze. And then to the right, our right of Shakyamuni Buddha is Vajrasattva, the Bodhisattva of purification. Okay. Do you have the picture? I didn't bring my picture. Do you have the picture of the 5 Buddha families, of the five Buddhas on there? Do you have that handy? Okay, let me see if I can get
Lance, what about the Lama at the bottom of the picture?
I don't recognize him, so I would say that he is a generic Lama. You know, usually in these kinds of pictures, you would see something like that, which is referring to a holy person, a holy monastic who is supplicating the deity.
And how did you know that it was a Sangha in Maitreya, by the way? Some key somewhere? Or is it something identified?
Because I recognize them, I've studied them before in other pictures. As
Okay,
a matter of fact, they appear in the Nundro, in the wish-fulfilling tree. You see them in the wish-fulfilling tree. All right, well, I don't have my picture. I forgot to bring my picture on. Unless it's
I
here.
think you sent it to all of us.
It's all right. Oh, here it is. Oh, never mind. I got a small one. All right, so when it comes time to explain that, I'll go into that. Okay, so let's go to the textbook and go to page number 1. And we're going to read every line here. So I'll introduce it first and then, give a little bit of an explanation. And then at the end, then we're going to come back and do the practice like we've been doing with the other deity yoga practices. So here's an instruction in italics. It says, liberating us from the diseases of inexhaustible samsara, with the ocean of great bliss of samsara and nirvana, you guide us beings to the supreme awakening. Glorious Padmadrupa, I bow at your feet. So what this is saying that, with all these diseases of this inexhaustible ocean of suffering, and the great bliss of samsara and nirvana, you guide us to the supreme awakening, to our liberation, to our enlightenment. Glorious Padmadrupa. So these teachings come out of Padmadrupa. This was written by Lord Jigden Sumgun, the founder of the Drikung Kagyu lineage, Lord Drikungpa. His teacher was Padmadrupa. So he's paying homage here to his teacher, Padmadrupa. So then the next stanza says, glorious goddess Parnashavari, you liberate all others and myself from infliction of great harm. When we have taken refuge in you, sublime goddess, you will protect us from all dangers. Thus, I shall write these brief words. So this is like he's stating his homage, his motivation for doing this. So this is something that we wouldn't necessarily recite ourselves every time we do this, but to refresh our memory with this from time to time is certainly a good idea. So now as we come down to this next stanza, and it says, those who have purified their mind stream with certainty at the beginning, as described above, should engage in the approach, accomplishment, and activities of the deity. Having cleaned your perfectly secluded place well and sprinkled water, take great joy in arranging flowers and so forth. After placing images of the goddess Parnashavari and others in the east, and offering abundant gifts, sit on a comfortable seat facing eastwards in the posture of meditative stability, recite. So here it's saying that when we engage in the approach, which is our supplication, our coming to the deity, the accomplishment that the deity, that we become the deity, we recognize the deity as ourselves, and then the activities of the deity and the way that we actualize that now, that we become the deity, we become, in this case, Parnashavari. So having cleaned your perfect place and so on, making offerings. So now if you take some of your water and you just take it in your left hand, you take your pitcher, whatever, and you just pour a little bit in your left hand, just a few drops if you can, and you take with your right hand, you take your ring finger and you just dip it into the, and you sprinkle your area, your room, which is like a purification blessing. Okay, so it's mindfulness. So if we had other flowers that we would have put out or other offerings we put out, if we would have lit candles and made the water bowl offerings and lit incense and so on like that, we would like to do that, if you can do that. So we can talk more about that as we go on. Okay, so now we come to the refuge prayer. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until awakening. Through the merit of practicing generosity and other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of being. So we're familiar with this. It's the same basic prayer. As a matter of fact, the Tibetan, yeah, it's the same Tibetan as the short refuge prayer that we recite all the time. It's just a slightly different translation here. So then we go to the next, which is the four immeasurables. And this is the same as well, but it's got a little bit of a different translation. It says, may all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from any bias of attachment or aversion. So it's the same prayer that we've been saying, the four immeasurables. We've been saying, but just a slightly different translation. And then the third prayer here is prostrating, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and supplicating. I dedicate whatever slight virtue I have gathered for the complete awakening of all. So this is the dedication at the end of the seven limb prayer that we do. It's the same dedication, slightly different translation. And then it says at the very bottom in the small print on page 2, it says, having cultivated bodhicitta and accumulated merit, recite the following. So now it's going into the actual practice. So if anybody has questions, just please turn on your mic and chime in. Okay, so now we come to this very well-known homage, and this says, Om Swabhava Sudha Sara Dharma Swabhava Sudo Ham. So basically what this is saying is that all phenomena, all dharmas are all completely pure. And for that, and that's their natural state. And I recognize that. So this is the essence of emptiness. This is the essence of the Mahayana teaching, of saying that regardless of what we see, and regardless of the imprints that we make upon what we see, the value judgments that we place on this, in its purest essence, it's all the same. So we're recognizing from the very beginning that all this is the same from its very nature. So the next stanza in English is telling us that. It says, this means that all phenomena are primordially completely pure by nature. So that's the translation of Om Swabhava Sudha Sara Dharma Swabhava Sudo Ham. So then it says, within the state of meditating on this, within our mind, if we pause for a moment and we think about what that means, that all this phenomenal nature is completely pure, and we're the one who has contaminated. We're the ones who have misrepresented it. We're the ones who have confused it through our emotions and our lack of wisdom. So by meditating on that and then coming back to the balance of saying, well, it is all perfectly natural, it is all perfectly pure, and I am too. Now, moving on from this, it says, I imagine that my consciousness emerges as a yellow palm syllable. So the palm syllable, if you look on the back page of the book, the back cover, you see this mandala. And in the center of the mandala is the palm syllable. And this palm syllable, it's a seed syllable. And all around this image here is the protection circle of the goddess mother of the forest, is the translation of what that says in Tibetan in black below the circle. Let me see. Yeah. below that circle, that's what the translation is. Protection circle of the goddess mother of the forest, which is is referring to Parnashavari. Then these other Tibetan words all around here are elements of the practice, elements of the prayer, of the practice, I should say, and the mantra and so on like that. So the palm syllable is that yellow syllable that's in the middle there. And this yellow syllable comes up out of the primordial mass, the primordial beginning. You know, I've used the expression, you know, the example of the Big Bang, you know, that there was something before the Big Bang or something beyond our knowing what it was. But then here comes this Big Bang and the palm comes, and this is the palm. Everything comes from that, this palm. So our consciousness comes from that. Our consciousness that has all its objects of all this phenomenal nature, all this stuff, you know, be it energy or be it matter, and all the interplay of all this stuff is the palm. So when I look at the palm myself, I look at it as a cup. I think of it as a cup. And, you know, and all this is coming from that cup. So
That looks a little bit like the bomb. Sid syllable. Is that right?
no, that's the bomb is another syllable, looks different. This is a palm, P-A-M.
Oh, I thought the bomb it doesn't have the circle on top, right?
The circle on top is the M. The pa is the yellow part, is the cup-like, and then the circle at the top makes it an M sound, palm.
Got it.
And if you look at your 101 books, there is a alphabet in there of the Tibetan alphabet, and you can see, you can kind of put that together yourself. Okay, so back to where we were. So my consciousness emerges as a yellow palm syllable. So everything that I know, everything I see, all this phenomenal nature is coming out of this palm syllable. From it, and the yellow is indicative of the earth. That the yellow is the color of Ratnasambhava, the Buddha Ratnasambhava, and it's indicative of the earth, the enriching, the increasing quality. So it's just something to keep in your mind for a moment. So from it, from the palm syllable, light rays radiate and purify the diseases and impairments of all beings in particular, as well as all their wrongdoings and obscurations. So we're seeing that from this light that is coming from this palm syllable, that it purifies all the diseases and impairments. So here's all this phenomenal stuff. Here's all the disease along with it. Here's all the contamination along with it. That's all pure by nature. But this nature has its own antidotes built in. They have to be recognized and they have to be actualized. They have to be used and so on. But everything is there. You've heard the expression, everything you need is under the sun. You just have to know how, you have to learn how to use it, you know? So this is an example of that. So here in particular, the diseases and impairments of all beings in particular. And then as well as their wrongdoings and obscurations. So the obscurations are the blockages, their wrongdoings are their misdeeds and so on. So this light is purifying all these things, is enabling this to be recognized, the wrongdoings and the obscurations for not being able to recognize all this stuff. So then it says, thereafter the light rays return and dissolve into the seed syllable. So those light rays, so they go out. Now they kind of come back on themselves, and all that power comes back into the palm syllable, and which fully transforms me instantly into the illustrious one, Parnashavari, mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times. So this is now we're seeing that we are all part of this, you know, at the spiritual level. So Parnashavari, like I said, Parnashavari means forest mother, the Shavari being the forest part, Parna being the mother part. Pisachi, well, we're going to get to that. Okay.
And I have a question.
Sure.
Since she's one of the 21 Taras, tell us a little bit about how that is it considered a manifestation of Tara, or are they 20 different kinds?
If I said the 21 Taras, if I limited to that, I made a mistake. She is a Tara, but not necessarily of the 21. And I looked it up in the 21, and she's not there. You know, so in the illustrations that I have access to, she wasn't mentioned in those 21. But, you know, as we talked about before, all the female deities are all regarded as emanations of one level or another of Tara. So if I said 21 before, that was my mistake.
Okay.
Because
Thank you.
that was my preconceived idea too, but I kind of dispelled that. Okay. But she, the mother of the Buddha the 3 times, so we know what that refers to. So what that paragraph was, what we just said, that was our motivation visualization. Here is this, you know, this cataclysmic explosion, if you will, and from all this that comes out is this palm, and we emerge that this Parnashavari is there, this natural mother of all this comes and comes into us, which fully transforms me instantly into the illustrious one, Parnashavari. So right now, it's just a bunch of words strung together. But as we get into practice, we'll see how this manifests. So now we get to the next paragraph, the next branch on page 4. This is the outer visualization of Parnashavari. So it says, my body has a yellow color and I have 3 faces. My central face is yellow, the left face is white, and the right face is blue. So generally, the left means, you know, coming in, receiving in, and white means, you know, purity. Usually connotes purity about that, you know, and all the light is in the white light. If you take white light and you put it through a prism, you get the different colored lights and so on. So the white light is the embodiment of all the other lights, and all that purity is coming in, and recognizing that. She's seeing that. On the right side is a blue face, and the blue face is the blue generally represents a protection, like the sky is blue. And it also has a transcendent nature to it, the blue transcendent nature of it, like the atmosphere, that it gets, you know, more darker blue the further out you get. But there's a protection, but there also is this transcendence about it. So this is on the right side, and this is the action. This is going out. So the left is coming in, the right is going out. And the center is the yellow, and the yellow is this enriching, is this pure, is this increasing notion, like the earth. So the 3 faces, my central face is yellow, so on. I have 6 arms. So now she's got a vajra in the lower right hand, a vajra. And then in the middle one, she's holding a battle axe, a battle axe that she uses. And then she's got an arrow in her upper right hand. So you can look at the picture on the front and you can see that. And that's why this picture was important, to get it accurate to this description and so on. We've gone through about 4 different pictures that were all varying degrees of different illustrations of Parnashavari, but this is the one that's the accurate one. In my lower left hand, and the lower left hand is in the threatening mudra. So the threatening mudra is like this, with the 2 middle fingers curled down, and your thumb is touching it, and then your ring finger, your little finger and your index finger are pointed out, and it's held like this. So like this. There, you're pointing at somebody. Here, it's a general kind of a thing, but it's a threatening mudra, and many of the fierce deities, the wrathful deities, will be using this mudra. So it's to connote, this fierceness. They're coming at, whatever is this, non-virtuous entity that's coming in. This is being met with this power, and then in the hand holding a noose to bind that negativity, to subdue and hold that negativity with this threatening mudra. So if you look in the picture, you can see that. It may not be real easy to see. If you had a magnifying glass, you probably could see it easier. Then the middle one on the left side is a bundle of branches. And then in the upper left hand is a bow. So to go over, we got a vajra, we got a battle axe, we got an arrow, we got a threatening mudra with a noose, we've got a bundle of branches, and we've got a bow. And so now the meaning. So the vajra is the indestructible manifestation of the wisdom, is what that represents. The indestructible manifestation of the wisdom. So it's very powerful. In the Hindu, it's regarded as a thunderbolt. Very, very, very powerful. So it'd be like lightning. So this is in the right hand. This is the power that's going out. Then the battle axe. So the battle axe can be used to cut off the negativity, to cut off the non-virtue, to cut off the contaminants, to cut it off. Then the arrow represents compassion. The arrow represents compassion. Make sure. Just a moment. Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I'm not confusing. All right. So then, compassion. So now the left hand is in the subduing, is threatening, and has the lasso. Then the bundle of branches. So the bundle of branches represent the medicine that comes from the forest, the branches and so on. And then the bow represents the wisdom. So the bow and arrow go together, the wisdom and the compassion. The wisdom has the strength and knows where to go, and the arrow is being discharged from that. The compassion is being aimed at. So whether it's a being, or whether it's a disease, or it's a negativity, whatever, this is what we're aiming at. This is what Parnashavari is aiming at. Using wisdom and compassion to be able to defeat whatever the contamination is, whatever the illness is, and so on. Okay, so then it says, I am sitting on a white lotus in the midst of masses of fire. So this is, this white lotus and the pure lotus, and the masses of fire represents all this, this wisdom burning, this wisdom fire that is purifying all this confusion and negativity and so on. The palm syllable of my heart now transforms into a lotus and a moon with the palm syllable on top. So the lotus is the transcendence of purity, and the moon is the cooling, the compassion of that activity. And the sun is always implied there, but it's not mentioned, you know. So the moon is there with the sun, but we don't see the sun. It's not mentioned. With the yellow palm syllable atop. So this is at the heart center. And from it, light rays radiate and invite the wisdom beings from their natural abode. So the wisdom beings are the 5 Buddha families. These are the 5 Buddha families. So you have this picture. So in the center is, I'm not going to go over a lot of detail with this right now. We might have done it before, I think. In the middle is Buddha Varanchana. Then to his right is Buddha Ascobia. Then to his right is Buddha Ratnasambhava. Then going back to the center, and to his left is Buddha Amitabha. And then to his left is Buddha Amagog Siddhi. So we can identify them by their colors, and we can identify them by their hand mudras. So I tried to make the biggest picture I could for you that was reasonable, so you could see the mudras, and you could see the thrones and the animals that are on the throne. So we don't have enough time to go into all the detail of this, but Varanchana has a white body who's in the center, and he's in the teaching mudra. And his wisdom is the all-pervading wisdom. And then to his right is Ascobia. He's got the blue body. His right hand is palm down at his right knee touching the ground, like Buddha Shakyamuni. His left hand is in the meditation position with the mendicant's bowl in his left hand. And he is the wisdom of equanimity. Excuse me, the mirror-like wisdom, the mirror-like wisdom is Buddha Ascobia. Then to his right is the golden yellow color of Ratnasambhava, whose right hand is palm up at his right knee. This is in the giving mudra and generosity, and his left hand is in the meditative position. And he is the wisdom of equanimity, the wisdom of balance, the wisdom of equanimity. And then Buddha Amitabha is the red Buddha, and his both hands are in meditative position with the mendicant's bowl at his 4 inches below his navel, and he is the wisdom of discriminating awareness. And then to his left is Buddha Amagog Siddhi, who has a green body, and his right hand is at his shoulder like this with the palm up and out like this, which is the protection mudra. And his left hand is in the meditative position with the bowl, and he is the all-accomplishing wisdom, the all-accomplishing wisdom. So we're going to see how this works out a little bit more as we go on. So now, going back, we said, from it, light rays radiate from the palm syllable at the heart and invite the wisdom beings from their natural abode. So the natural abode comes from the wheel. You know, we might have talked about the mandala before. We'll talk about it again to refresh everybody's mind another time. But now we're saying Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. So you remember we've done that before. We're hooking ourselves to the deities. We're binding ourselves to the deities. We're locking ourselves up with the deities, and we're rejoicing that now we are inseparable with the deities. Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. So we're rejoicing with this. And then it says, thus we summon, absorb them unite with them and rejoice. So you see in the small italics underneath Za Hong Bam Ho. Okay, so then we continue where it says, we merge inseparably, that we all come together. Again, light rays radiate from the seed syllable at our heart center, at my heart, inviting the 5 empowerment deities and their retinue. So the 5 wisdom deities are the 5 empowerment deities. There's many different names for these. They have different ways in which they're, brought to our minds, different functions within different practices and so on. So here they're the 5 empowerment deities who give us the wisdom and the skillful means and the joy and the equanimity to be able to actualize their powers and their retinue. So that would include their consorts, would include their spiritual sons and spiritual daughters, the bodhisattvas, the yogins, yoginis, the dakinis, the dakas, all those beings would be included in that retinue. So now we are offering to them. It says, perform the 5 offerings correctly. So this is a slightly different offering than the ones that we've done before. So this one is Om, the body, speech, and mind of the deities. So Panchakula means, Pancha means the wisdom deities, means wisdom. Pancha means wisdom. And Kula means the deities, the Panchakula, the wisdom deities. So we're bringing them all together, the Panchakulas, the wisdom deities. Saparivara means their retinue. And then the offerings, they start with pushpam, the flowers, pushpam, and then we say pratitsa, the offering, we make the offering soha. So we got 5 deities, 5 empowerment deities, and we have 5 offerings. So it's the pushpam, it's the dupam, it's the alokam, it's the gande or the gandam, they do it in the old way, the gandam, and the nuideyam. So those are the 5 offerings to the 5 empowerment deities. And then we make the offering like that. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to do this. So now we go to the self-empowerment. So all that was the outer visualization. Now we come to the self-empowerment. So here is where we need the water again. So it says here, Om Sara Tathagata Abi Shinsatu Mam. With this, the empowerment deities are requested to grant empowerment. So what this translated means, Om, the body, speech, and mind. Sara means all. Tathagata are the thus gone ones, or all the deities. Shinsatu Mam means bring me the empowerment. Give me the empowerment. Bestow the empowerment on me, Mom. Bring it to me. With this, the empowerment deities are requested to grant empowerment. So we recite this, Om Sara Tathagata Abi Shinsatu Mam. And I know it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and after a while you master it. Then, so now we have our water in our right hand, and we have our left hand out, and we're just holding it now. Now we recite the next thing, which says, Om Sara Tathagata Abhishikata Samaya Shriye Hom. So this says, thus they bestow the empowerment with water from the vase, which fills the body and purifies the defilements. The overflowing water transforms into Amagoga city as a crown ornament. The empowerment deities dissolve into me. So what we'll do, we're not going to do it now, but what we'll do is we'll take, and after we recite that, we will pour a little bit of water in our left hand, and then we'll drink it. And then that's coming in and inside. So we're visualizing that the empowerment is coming into our body. And then the residue of what's the moisture that's left in the palm of our left hand, we put on the crown of our head. And this becomes the 5 Buddha families, or in this case, it becomes Amagog City as a crown ornament. So Amagog City, if you remember, was the green Buddha here in the 5 Buddhas. And he is the wisdom of the all-accomplishing wisdom. The all-accomplishing wisdom. So the accomplishment is being able to overcome the diseases, being able to go back to where we said in the very beginning to purify the diseases and impairments of all beings in particular, as well as their wrongdoings and obscurations. This is the activity that we're doing. This is the action that we're taking. And Amagog City is the accomplishment of that. You know, plus many other things, the accomplishment of many things, but in particular this. So he becomes the crown ornament of Parnashavari, or us, on the crown of our head. So thus they bestow the empowerment with water from the vase, which fills the body and purifies the defilements. So whatever defilements we have within ourselves, the overflowing water transforms into Amagog City as a crown ornament, and the empowerment deities dissolve into me. So all this comes into me and I become purified. So now we make offering to Amagog City and to all the deities and so on, to myself as Parnashavari. I'm making offerings to myself as Parnashavari and all these deities and so on. So now I'm going Om Pasachi Parnashavari Sapari Vara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So it's the body, speech, and mind. Pasachi is the charnel ground, that she comes from this terrible place where dead bodies are taken to be cremated or to be buried or to be offered to the animals. And she is the forest mother. And Saparivar means, and her retinue, all the other Shrivari deities and so on, all together being offered the drinking water, the washing water, the flowers, the incense, the light, the perfume, and the food, and then the music. So all this being offered. And there's a melody that we use with this that is very good melody that comes from, actually from the Amiteya's practice. And so it's a very powerful melody with this. And so it fits in perfectly. So when we get to that, we'll do that. Okay. So now we come to top of page 6, and the small print says, after your body, speech, and mind have been blessed, you were granted the empowerment. You have meditated on the symbol of empowerment and so on. The praise of the goddess Parnashavari in verse follows. So now we're doing the praise for Parnashavari. We've visualized ourselves. We brought all this together. So now it says, out of the mandala of Dharmakaya's great bliss, you protect against dangerous diseases such as epidemics and against untimely death. I pay homage to you, mother of wish-fulfilling activities. So this was written 800 years ago or so by Lord Jigden Sumgon. And when the coronavirus came, His Holiness Chetseng Rinpoche dug into his bag of tricks and brought out this practice and had this translation done and distributed all around the world for everybody, all the Drikung Kagyu people, to be using this as a practice to be able to protect us from the coronavirus. And it specifically says, dangerous diseases such as epidemics and against untimely death. I pay homage to you, mother of wish-fulfilling activities. So the wish-fulfilling activities, again, is Amagog City, who's on the crown of our head. Amagog City, the wisdom of the all-accomplishing wisdom, wish-fulfilling activities, all that coming to be. So now so that's the praise. So then the next stanza is the visualization now. It says, golden color, Parnashavari, sitting on a lotus seat. Your main face is yellow, the right face blue, and the left face white. Your hair is homage to the divine body of the goddess who grants accomplishments. So we recite this, we recite it in English, and we're visualizing this. And we should go as slow as we need to go to be able to stabilize, a mental picture of what this all means as we're going through each stage. So we don't have to rush through this. We don't have to recite the Tibetan on this. The Tibetan, some of these paragraphs, these stanzas are instructional. When it comes to the Sanskrit part, the mantras and so on, we need to recite those in Sanskrit. But these instructional parts we can do in English, no problem. If later on you want to do the Tibetan, that's fine, but it's not necessary, and it just kind of slows down and it makes our stream of consciousness kind of bog down a little bit. So I don't recommend that you do that anytime soon. So now we come to the next visualization part. Golden color Parnashavari, sitting on a lotus seat, your main face is yellow, the right face blue, and the left face white. Your hair is bound up in a top knot, and you are full of splendor. I pay homage to the divine body of the goddess who grants accomplishments. Then the next paragraph, the next page 7, says, illustrious one, you are the embodiment of wisdom and compassion. You dwell in the midst of masses of fire, which is burning like the fire at the end of time. With your 3 faces and 6 arms, you look terrifying and wrathful. I pay homage to you who has one leg outstretched and the other bent. So I haven't mentioned this before, but the one leg outstretched means that she's ready to jump up to be able to come to people's aid, to be able to help people and so on. And the other leg is in the meditative position to show strength and power, Dharma power. So here we're visualizing that she is the embodiment of this wisdom and compassion. Remember, she got the bow and arrow, the wisdom and compassion. She knows how to use it. And the masses of fire, which is burning like the fire at end of time, how powerful this is. Imagine at the Big Bang, it was masses of fire. And at the end, they talk about, when the end comes, that it will come in great fire. So her power is like that fire, that wisdom fire. The wisdom where all confusion will be revealed. Everything will be liberated. Everything will be purified. So it's in this massive fire that she's sitting. So when you sit there and you visualize this areola of fire around you and you're in this midst of fire, it's very powerful. I pay homage to you has one leg outstretched and the other bent. Then the next stanza says, wearing a robe of leaves, the skirt of leaves, holding a bow and arrow, a battle axe, a bundle of branches, Parnashavari, you display the threatening mudra and hold a vajra. I pay homage to you, great mother, protectress of beings. So we're going through, and again, we're visualizing the implements that she has in her 6 hands. Then it says, and she is a protectress of beings. We're going to see how that manifests in a moment. So then it comes down to, it says, visualization during the mantra recitation. So now as we're doing the mantra, now we visualize this next part. We can visualize all this coming up to it as well, but once you stabilize all that, now this is the next part for the visualization. It says, this is the inner visualization, the bottom of page 7, the inner visualization. The crown of myself as Parnashavari consists of the 5 victorious ones. From their hearts flow streams of milky nectar filling my body. So now I'm visualizing this as the crown that I'm wearing, that you're wearing, is Parnashavari and these 5 empowerment deities and their retinues and all this consists of the 5 victorious ones. And from their hearts flow streams of milky nectar filling my body. So my body is being filled with this milky nectar, this beautiful milky nectar. So whether you think of it as white milky nectar, or you think of it as a golden color milky nectar, you know, but it's this full of this milky nectar. Then the next page, page 8, at the top it says, thus visualize, in this way, all wrongdoings and obscurations are purified. Focus on that and then recite as many times as you can. So all my wrongdoings and all my obscurations are being purified. At this time, this is the self-empowerment. You know, I'm purifying myself as Parnashavari now. So then we recite the mantra, Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hum, which Om is the body, speech, and mind of the deity. Pasachi is the charnel ground. Parnashavari is the forest mother. Sara means all. Mari means downwards, coming down. And Prasha means, it's got 2 different meanings. One is the placenta, the downward placenta, and the other one is a singing bird. So it's like the giving of life. You know, it's like this renewal, this downwards placenta, this flushing out this placenta, flushing out this organ that has manifested new life. And then Mani means the jewel, and Hung means manifest wisdom. So it's this transformation. So the literal translation, not the literal translation, but the interpreted translation of this mantra is powerful forest mother, Loma Gyoma. Loma Gyoma is her name in Tibetan. So it's good to get familiar with her name in Tibetan, Loma Gyoma. Parnashavari is Sanskrit. So powerful forest mother, Loma Gyoma, purifier of obscuration, purifier of illness and pestilence. May it be accomplished. So altogether it says, as may it be accomplished. So altogether it's powerful forest mother, Loma Gyoma, purifier of obscuration, illness, and pestilence. May it be accomplished. So pestilence, we all know, is like a pandemic. You know, when these great diseases come all around the world and are terrible and so on, and kill many, 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 many people and so on. So we have obscuration. How did we get in this mess in the first place? Through obscuration, by not understanding what it is and taking responsibility for what that was. If we had acted wisely in the very beginning, we could have avoided so much of this illness and pestilence, all this suffering that's been going on. So at the core of this, we have to purify obscuration. And then the illness, and then the pestilence. So is there something in the forest or something there that can be used, that can be developed as a cure, as a vaccine, as treatment for the suffering of the diseases, the illnesses, and the pestilence that we're suffering from? So we're asking Parnashavari to make us aware of what that is within ourselves. So for ourselves, we know that we have to overcome our obscuration. The first thing is we got to isolate ourselves. We can't go near people that are sick because we've learned how contagious this is. It's really just common sense. you know, we've got to use whatever protection we need to do to be able to allow this to die down. And then at the same time to be developing the medicines to be able to help us through the illness and to protect us in the future against these things and so on. So that's why I say, you know, we have to do this practice like it's a matter of life and death for ourselves and for those around us and for all beings. So first we're doing ourselves. So now it says, so we recite that many times as we're doing all this visualization. So, you know, when I'm doing this, and you can do it whatever way you like, but as I'm chanting this, Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hong, I'm holding the Vajra. I'm in the threatening mudra, holding a noose. I'm visualizing that. I visualize that I've got the battle axe, and I visualize that I've got the arrow. I visualize I've got the bundle of branches, which is the medicine, and I'm visualizing that I've got the bow and arrow. I'm visualizing that, and I'm taking aim. Okay, so I'm visualizing that. I'm bringing I'm consolidating all this power within myself. So then, after I have a stable visualization of that, you recite, I visualize that the whole space of either a region or country is filled with the 5 Sugatas and the goddess Parnashavari. From them, streams of nectar flow down, fill the bodies of the diseased, the region or kingdom, and all diseases and harms are pacified. So I visualize that the whole space of either this region or country, so all this territory, all this land that I live in, this whole space is filled with the 5 Sugatas, with the 5 empowerment deities, and the goddess Parnashavari. So if you remember, going back to many of our practices, we talk about that all the atoms are Buddhas, are filled with atoms, and all the space around the atoms are filled with bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and bodhisattvas. So now we're seeing that, and we're recognizing that, and seeing that it's all there. You know, all this healing stuff is there. All this wisdom is there to be able to do this region or country. And from them, from all this, the streams of nectar flow from their bodies and into the bodies of the diseased to help those that are lying prostrate in their deathbeds, or, you know, in their hospital beds, in their home beds, wherever they are, to come and to heal them, you know, and whatever medicines we can bring to bear, whatever vaccines we can bring to bear, to be able to use them. So, and of the disease of this region or country. And all diseases and harms are pacified. So we have to visualize that this is actually happening, that this is doing that. We can see this milky nectar coming from all these beings, that everything is just filled with this, and is filling me up, and is filling you up, and is filling all these beings up around your neighborhood. And then you go from your neighborhood to your community, and then from your community you go around to, you know, your county, and then from there maybe to your state, and so on. And you can go as broad as you possibly can. You're visualizing this while you're reciting the mantra. So now, after you've done that, now it says, focus on this visualization and then recite as many times as you can. And it repeats the mantra, Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hum. So this time, now we're visualizing the 5 empowerment deities. We're visualizing Parnashavari all being filled up and going to all these beings, and it's going out to everyone. So this is where, you know, now it's not focused on myself, it's focused onto all these beings. And from my heart, from my body, from everyone's body is all being filled up with this milky nectar.
Question, Lance.
Yes.
What you just read, focus on this visualization and then recite as many times as you can. Does it mean recite the mantra or recite the visualization words?
The mantra. The mantra. So the first part when we recite the mantra, it may be, 25 times or something like that, maybe a mile around, something like that, whatever it requires you to kind of stabilize your visualization of yourself as Parnashavari and so on. But then the next time, now we're going out to all these beings. So you can recite it as many times as you want. I recite it 3 mile rounds. I don't know how long it takes me, but to me, this is a matter of life and death. This is the single most important thing, most powerful thing that I can do as an individual, as Parnashavari, to help all these beings. It helps me overcome my feeling of helplessness in the face of all of this. So far, it's bringing me enough wisdom to wear a mask, to stay away from people, to stay healthy, and so on, and not to do stupid things. So in that regard, it's helping me. If I hadn't been doing this, or I wasn't doing any of this practice, I might have been getting real sloppy by now and going to the bar and getting drunk with the guys. So in my life, it makes a difference. So we do this many times. And when you're doing this, you can visualize yourself holding the implements. You can do this. You can be using your mala beads. If you have your beads and you're going and you're using, so whether you do 1 round or 2 rounds or 3 rounds or 5 rounds, whatever you want. For me, reciting it 10, 15 times, it's a token.
I just noticed the colon after "as you can" in the mantra is right there in large print.
Yes. So reciting it in the English is very important, I think, to help us to stabilize the meaning in our mind. And if you prefer to recite it in the Tibetan, in the English, that's fine, But if you can do it in the Sanskrit, this is Sanskrit. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hum. So then when that's finished now, when we're finished doing that, so let's say, for instance, we do 3 mala rounds, and we finish it, and then right away, so now we're making offerings. We're making offerings to all the other Parnashavaris that are out there, because we visualize that all this wisdom, all this milky nectar has come and to all these other beings now, and we visualize all beings as Parnashavari. All this wisdom, all this healing, all this protection now has manifested everywhere. So now I'm making the offerings to these beings. So now I'm going, Om Pasachi Parnashavari Sapari Vara, and then I go, Argam Pratitsa. So now I'm clicking my fingers, but I'm doing it out there to all beings. And then the next one, Padyam, to all beings out there. Then Pushpam, to all beings out there. The first time we're doing it here to us, because we're visualizing the deities within ourselves. Now we're visualizing the deities all out there. And this is part of, the energy, that we're energizing all this. It's all part of us. We're breathing this air. It's all part of us. So we're making offerings to all these beings, to all these Parnashavari beings. And then we turn the page, and then we do the praise again, and then there is a part there where we're confessing our inability to do things properly. So the praise again was out of the mandala, Dharmakaya's great bliss. You protect against dangerous diseases such as epidemics and against untimely death. I pay homage to you, mother of wish-fulfilling activities. So we visualize together with Amagog City, we're making these wish-fulfilling activities of protection. And then the next stanza says, whatever I could not procure, whatever medicines I couldn't get, whatever I didn't have enough wisdom to be able to get or to process, whatever obscurations I couldn't overcome, whatever I could not procure, or whatever was deteriorated. Maybe I had some stuff, but it wasn't fresh. It wasn't good. It wasn't healthy, and it wasn't very effective for its healing property or for its protection property. So whatever was deteriorated, or whatever I did with a deluded mind, whatever I didn't do properly, whatever I was confused about, or made others do, may you forgive all that. And then we recite the 100-syllable mantra. Here it's one time, Om Bajra Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupaliya, etc. So you can do it one time. I prefer to do it 3 times. You know, I make a lot of mistakes. So I need to confess a lot of mistakes. So we do that. And then we go to now the top of page 10, and it says the words of auspiciousness in small print. So here now, so we're reciting, may the great Vajradhara, the true Lama, who is the essence of all Buddhas, grant the auspiciousness of the goddess Parnashavari to all beings of the 3 realms, without exception, and to myself. So Vajradhara, if you remember, is the primordial Buddha. So pure he's unborn, non-conceptual, the essence of bodhicitta that is in the hearts of all the enlightened ones. So it's through Vajradhara that all this is possible. So who is the essence of all the Buddhas, grant the auspiciousness of Parnashavari, of the goddess Parnashavari, to all beings of the 3 realms, without exception to myself. So and then this is something I recite in Tibet. I do in English and then I do in Tibet, and then we rejoice at the end of that. Then the next one is the aspiration prayer. At the bottom it says, glorious goddess Parnashavari, you liberate all others and myself from the infliction of great harm. Having taken refuge in you, sublime goddess, please protect us from all dangers. So this aspiration that now Parnashavari is within me, that now I use this wisdom. I use the skillful means. And when I get up off the cushion and I go about my day, that I continue being Parnashavari. Protecting myself, protecting my family, protecting my home, protecting my friends, my neighbors, you know, as much as I can, that this continues. Please protect us from all dangers. And the goddess, I am the goddess. I have the power to be able to do this. So that, and then at the very bottom, then it says, thus recite the dedication and aspiration prayers. So we would go and do our lineage dedications and so on. So to begin this, you could do the aspiration prayer, you know, the altruistic motivation and the action bodhicitta prayer. You can do all that. Tonight, I just got into this because I knew there wouldn't be a whole lot of time to do all this. So, but you know, to do it properly would be good. You could do this in the way that I do it if you wanted to. I do it in about the space of an hour. I do it by reciting 3 mala rounds and doing everything that I just said. I do it in the space of about an hour. And, you know, I could do it longer, I could do it shorter. But, you know, I implore you to do it and until you reach your satisfaction. Okay, any comments or questions? If you want to take a short break, a very short break, just a couple of minutes, then we'll come back and we'll do the practice together. I've
got a question, Lance.
Okay.
The when we do it on Monday through Friday with Khenpo Sangdop, we start on page 6. We start when it with the visualization.
Of course.
And I've got a 2-part question. It's the same thing, really. A lot of the visualization is a repetition of the description that we initially got, you know, that we've already gone through. What is the first part? It's not a visualization. Is it just an invocation?
What part? What first part?
Well, like page 3, I think. No,
it's the motivation. It's the motivation visualization. It's the outer visualization. It's the self-empowerment. It's the offering. It's the praise and the visualization of the deity, the body visualization, the inner visualization. So all those are all, you know, part of it that stabilize the practice. So you can do whatever you want. You know, I understand. You know, I usually don't do too many shortcuts.
Okay. So could you repeat those things again, the series of things? I got most of them, but I think you said invocation.
Well, the first one on page 3, that's the motivation visualization.
Okay.
And the next one is the outer visualization. My body has a yellow color and I have 3 faces. That's the outer visualization. Then the self-empowerment on page 5. And then the offering at the bottom of page 5. And page 6, the first stanza on page 6 is the praise. Then comes the visualization of the deity. And the next few stanzas, the next 3 stanzas are that visualization again. And then the bottom of page 7 is the inner visualization during the mantra. And then the mantra explanations and so on. And then the offering to the offering to all Parnashavari, to all the beings and so on. And then again, the praise on page 9.
On page 8, where we're protecting all others,
Yes.
how do you describe that?
I guess you could describe it as phenomenal protection to all others, you know, Parnashavari actualization. The activity, the wish-fulfilling activity, the activity of Parnashavari. Okay, and then the praise again on page 9, and then the confession on page on the middle of page 9. And then the auspicious prayer for auspiciousness on
In
page
the 100
10.
syllable prayer?
Auspiciousness, a prayer for auspiciousness on page 10. And then the bottom of page 10 would be an aspiration to continue to practice or to stabilize the practice.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes. Yeah, this practice is so clear and so good and so powerful, and it helps us with all the other practices. I think it's got all these elements in here that is really so good, and it's so poignant for now. You know, we're likely to be in our homes for at least the next 6 months, maybe the next year before, you know, we're going to be safe to go out again. So having this support, this spiritual support, to me is very important. You know, otherwise, you know, we just get depressed.
Yes.
Does that make sense? I mean, does anybody want to take another side of that? Okay, well then let's start at the beginning, page 1, and we won't read the italics. We're going to go through and we're just going to read the English, but we'll do the Sanskrit for the particular mantras where we need to. And I'll do my best at leading you with the with the melodies. And we are recording this. So if you want it later, you know, you can see it on YouTube, or if you want, we could cut out just the audio parts. And so you could learn the melodies for the mantras if you want to do that. So, so Michael, if when we're saving this, if we can save the audio portion of the recording for that, and you can send that to me, and I got a program where I can dig that out real quick if you want me to do that, but if it comes to bear. Okay, so we begin on page 1 with the prayers of refuge and bodhicitta and dedication. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until awakening. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until awakening. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Sangye chodang soki chonam la, shangju bardu dagni kapsuchi, dagi jinsoki pe sonam gi, drola penshir sangye jupasho. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from any bias of attachment or aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from any bias of attachment or aversion. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she dewa dang dewe gurdang dempa jurchi. Dug now dang do now gi gudang drawa jurchi. Dug now me pe dewa dang mi drawa jurchi. Ne ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam la ne pa jor chi. Prostrating, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and supplicating, I dedicate whatever slight virtue I have gathered for the complete awakening of all. Chak sa wa dang cho ching sa pa dang. Jesu yi rang kol sing so wa yi. Dewa jung se da gi ji sag pa. Sag pe shok chu tam she sok pe shang shu chi no. Page 3. Om Swabhava Shuddha Sara Dharma Swabhava Sudha Ham. This means that all phenomena are primordially completely pure by nature. Within the state of meditating on this, I imagine that my consciousness emerges as a yellow palm syllable. From it, light rays radiate and purify the diseases and impairments of all beings in particular, as well as all their wrongdoings and obscurations. Thereafter, the light rays return and dissolve into the seed syllable, which fully transforms me instantly into the illustrious one, Parnashavari, mother of the Buddha of the 3 times. My body has a yellow color, and I have 3 faces. My central face is yellow, my left face white, and the right face blue. I have 6 arms. My lower right hand holds a vajra. In the middle, a battle axe, and the upper, an arrow. My lower left hand displays the threatening mudra, holding a noose. The middle, a bundle of branches, and the upper, a bow. I am sitting on a white lotus in the midst of masses of fire. The palm syllable at my heart transforms into a lotus and moon, with a yellow Pam syllable on top. From it, light rays radiate and invite the wisdom beings from their natural abode. Za, Hom, Bam, Ho. We merge inseparably. Again, light rays radiate from the seed syllable at my heart, inviting the 5 empowerment deities and their retinue. So I'm at the top of page 5. Om Panchakula Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Panchakula Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Panchakula Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Om Panchakula Saparivara Gandham Pratitsa Soha. Om Panchakula Saparivara Nuitaya Pratitsa Soha. Om Sara Tathagata Abhisha Shinshatu Mam. With this, the empowerment deities are requested to grant empowerment. Om Sara Tathagata Abhishikata Samaye Shriye Hom. Thus, they bestow the empowerment with water from the vase, which fills the body and purifies the defilements. The overflowing water transforms into Amagog city as a crown ornament. The empowerment deities dissolve into me. So we take the water into our left hand. We drink. And then the residue goes onto the crown of our head and becomes Amagog city as a crown ornament. And the empowerment deities now all dissolve into me. So now we make the offerings to all the deities now. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Pradyam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Gandham Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Nuitayam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saparivara Shapta Pratitsa Soha. Top of page 6, the praise. Out of the mandala of Dharmakaya's great bliss, you protect against dangerous diseases such as epidemics and against untimely death. I pay homage to you, mother of wish-fulfilling activities. Golden colored Parnashavari, sitting on a lotus seat. Your main face is yellow, the right face blue, and the left face white. Your hair is bound up in a top knot, and you are full of splendor. I pay homage to the divine body of the goddess who grants accomplishments. Illustrious one, you are the embodiment of wisdom and compassion. You dwell in the midst of masses of fire, which is burning like the fire at the end of time. With your 3 faces and 6 arms, you look terrifying and wrathful. I pay homage to you, who has 1 leg outstretched and the other bent. Wearing a robe of leaves, holding a bow and arrow, a battle axe, and a bundle of branches, Parnashavari, you display the threatening mudra and hold a vajra. I pay homage to you, great mother, protectoress of beings. The crown of myself as Parnashavari consists of the 5 victorious ones. From their hearts flow streams of milky nectar, filling my body. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hom. 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 I visualize that the whole space of either a region or country is filled with the 5 Sugatas and the goddess Parnashavari. From them, streams of nectar flow down, fill the bodies of the diseased, the region or kingdom, and all diseases and harms are pacified. Powerful forest mother Loma Gyoma, purifier of obscuration, illness, and pestilence, may it be accomplished. Powerful forest mother Loma Gyoma, purifier of obscuration, illness, and pestilence, may it be accomplished. Powerful forest mother Loma Gyoma, purifier of obscuration, illness, and pestilence, may it be accomplished. Om Pasachi Parnashavari Saramari Prashamani Hom. 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 Om Bazaji Parnasavai Sarmai Prashamani 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 At the bottom of page 8, we're making the offering blessing to all Parnasavari, all out there, all beings who are being protected, who become the protector, who, all those who are sick, those who have been taking care of the sick, those who have been finding and developing medicines, those who are setting examples for other peoples to follow, those who are practicing safe precautions. So to all these, we are making these offerings of Parnasavari. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Om Pasachi Parnasavari Saparivara Gandham Pratitsa Soha. Pasachi Parnashavari Sapariwara Nuitayam Pratitsa Soha. Pasachi Parnashavari Sapariwara Shapta Pratitsa Soha. Page 9. Out of the mandala of Dharmakaya is great bliss. You protect against dangerous diseases such as epidemics and against untimely death. I pay homage to you, mother of wish-fulfilling activities. Whatever I could not procure, whatever was deteriorated, and whatever I did with a deluded mind or made others do, may you forgive all that. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Satwa Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwa Ha. May the great Vajradhara, the true Lama, who is the essence of all Buddhas, grant the auspiciousness of the goddess Parnashavari to all beings of the three realms without exception and to myself. Sangye kongi no word your payi, dorje changchen lama dampayi, dakdam kamsum samchun malupa, ritro logyon lamo trashi. Glorious Goddess Parnashavari, you liberate all others and myself from the infliction of great harm. Having taken refuge in you, sublime Goddess, please protect us from all dangers. Rangzan Jigpa Champo Nyan Pale, George Palden Jason Vitroma, Lamo Chogla Kapsu Songyurne, Jigpa Kunle Kyopa Zedu So. There you are. That is a complete practice. So if you wish to do more dedication prayers, auspiciousness prayers, aspiration prayers, you can at the end, and you can do more at the beginning. But this by itself is a complete practice right here.
Lance,
Yes.
I want to get the Tibetan name of her spelled out. It's part of the whole. I've got powerful forest mother, and then I don't know what the Tibetan how it's spelled.
Loma, Loma. Gyoma, Gyoma. Loma Gyoma.
And then purifier of obstacles and diseases.
Purifier of obscurations, illnesses, and pestilence. May it be accomplished.
Okay, thank you.
So what's the seed syllable? Anybody know?
Tom.
Correct. That's the seed syllable. So as we're reciting the mantra, and it's going around the palm syllable, the seed syllable, yellow seed syllable. Correct.
Nance, when we're
Yes.
visualizing Parnashavari's faces, will you please tell me again what white and blue means? I know white is purity.
White generally is purity, and blue is generally protection and transcendence.
Okay.
You know, it's the transcendent nature. The blue is that. You know, so as you go, as I was saying, as you go deeper and deeper into the atmosphere, it gets bluer and bluer. You know, that's an example. And if you look at the deities, like Medicine Buddha is blue. If you look at Vajradhara is blue. If you look at Samantabhadra is blue. You know, these are like the highest of those primordial Buddhas, those deities that are like that, transcendent Buddhas.
What's the red again?
Red? You mean the red, what, Amitabha?
Face.
There's no red face.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's blue and white. And yellow.
Oh, the yellow then, yellow.
Well, the yellow would be of the earth, enriching, increasing. So the other picture I sent you was Ratnasambhava. There was one picture of one Buddha by himself. It was a yellow golden color, and that is Ratnasambhava. And so she's part of that family coming from the earth like that.
What kind of wisdom is Ratnasambhava, by the way?
He's the wisdom of equanimity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I know some of you guys have been doing this practice. Did you enjoy this tonight?
Oh yes, yeah, it was beautiful.
It's going to be much more meaningful since we've gone through it. There's a lot that was not explained, that was never been explained to me. Be nice if they had a little short commentary on it, since they're getting everybody in Drikung Kagyu to try to repeat it. Just covering some of these basics, many of which you've done.
No, so this is pure, Vajrayana practice, Mantrayana practice, tantric practice. So
Are they doing this at all in the Karma Kagyu? Do you know?
I have no idea. I know they do it, Gotchen Rinpoche. There's a video on YouTube of his doing it at GBI. So I've done it with them, and that was very nice. And there was a lama at the very, very beginning where I got a couple of these melodies, was from this lama who I didn't know who he was, but I found it on the internet, the very beginning in YouTube, at the very beginning when we started doing this, and he was very helpful. And I haven't tried to look for him again. I didn't write down his name, but that was very helpful to me too. So, you know, practice to me is the heat. You know, that's, you know, if we learn one thing, you know, from the books, from the text, and then practice it many, many, many times, we have a good possibility of finding enlightenment. But if you learn a lot of things, but never practice them, you're not likely to gain anything from it. I don't know whether you believe in that or not, but I do. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next week, if you like, we'll get back to, let me see, wait a minute. Next week is the retreat. Let me see. Yeah, next week is the Mani Drupshan. Did I send you all a link to the Mani Drupshan, an invitation? Amanda, did you get it?
Go, Lance.
Yeah, so I'm going to be joining that. So there won't be anything on Friday and Saturday and Sunday for me, except that next week. So we won't be doing this next week. We won't be doing Saturday night next week. So this is, if I haven't told you before, this is one of the most powerful practices I ever did. So I invite everybody to join this retreat for however long they can, whether it's an hour or it's a day or it's an evening or it's the whole time, whatever you can. It's really, really great.
Did you ever go to Florida and do it with Drupon?
No.
I went the last 2 years. It really was wonderful. And they did it for, they started on Friday and they ended on Thursday.
Oh, so they did it for 5 days, 7 days.
Well, it was, the first night was we didn't do that much mantra, but it did, and then it started the next morning. But it continued all the way till Thursday. So that makes it, I think, 5 days straight, round the clock.
Now, usually when this is done, they construct a sand mandala, and it's in a tent. And it's very elaborate. And the offerings are amazing, and it's all concealed in this tent. And then you have to be initiated into the tent to be able to go into the tent. And then you go into the tent and you make offerings, your offerings, your supplications in the tent. And the tent is in the shrine room. And so that kind of sets, you know, part of this tone. You know, here is this very, very profound thing that it took the lamas, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 days to construct. And they do it very seriously. And they're chanting during the whole time. They're wearing masks and so on. And it's very meticulous, the sand mandala. And then during the practice, you know, then you got all this stuff. You're in the room with it and everything. And it's done 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And you take shifts in during the nighttime. The daytime, 8 o'clock to I think it was 7 o'clock. Everybody's doing it together. People take breaks for lunch and for dinner and so on, but then there are still some people that are in the shrine room continuing to chant. And then it's 7 o'clock, then one shift goes to sleep. And the other guys or maybe 2 shifts go to sleep, and then one shift stays up until like midnight or something like that. And then the next shift gets up, who went to sleep, they get up and they come and they take over, and the first shift goes back to bed. And then there's a third shift that comes on like at 2 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock, something like that. So, but it continues 24 hours. And there are different melodies that are being used to kind of keep you awake during the nighttime, because it gets very dark at night. And it's very powerful, really incredible. So,
Lance, when I did it the last 2 years, it was very similar to what you said. They had 6 4-hour shifts. And they used 6 different versions of Om Mani Padme Hum in succession. And I've got an audio of that. And the first year I did it, the only way I could learn it was to chart the syllables, because some are Om Mani Padme Hum and some are Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. But I'll send that to you. My breakdown of the syllables really helped me to learn it the way they did it down at
we'll compare
Drupal.
that, and we'll talk to Drupal about that, because I did the same thing years ago when Khenpo Chapel was there.
Hmm.
And it was very powerful.
Yeah, I showed him my chart at the end of the first year, and he said there was only one Shri missing, and everybody agreed that it was very silent Shri, but nevertheless that was his one correction.
Okay, well, we should talk about that later.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a little challenging to learn, but if you have a little bit of structure, it's very easy to learn the 6 recitation cycle.
Good. All right, well, there you are. I hope you can join us. We'll see you otherwise in a couple of weeks, and I'll send out email messages to everybody. And anybody have any other comments or questions or anything? Okay. When we do come back, we'll do Mahakala. We'll come back to the Veda Yoga book, and we'll go through the Mahakala practice on Friday night on Buddhism 201. Okay, and we'll starting, so we'll have 102 tomorrow, the continuation of chapter 9 of the Jewel Ornament Liberation tomorrow night. And then Monday, we start Buddhism 101 at the very beginning, and we're changing nights. We're going to Monday nights. So anybody wants to join us for that, you're welcome to join us for that. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.